TGIF Warriors. How's everyone doing? How you doing, Ingmar? Mike, Ryan, how are you, buddy? K-Man's here. Arlo, how are you today? Happy Friday. Steve, James. Hi, Lowell. Okay. Hope everyone had a decent week. Hi, how are you? Kasub, you have a decent week?
Hey Dale, where were you yesterday, mate?
Uh, I brought a note from Mom.
I'm not picking you up on all your holiday time, mate. You know,
Oh gosh, I think I just
you deserved it. Oh, yeah, is that you?
I accidentally shut down the screen. Uh, I don't know
I
how to
thought
get it back.
I thought it was a selfie.
Huh?
I thought
No,
that was you in that picture.
where?
On that,
Anyway, I don't have. I'm gonna have to come out and log in again, I guess, because unless I could, I don't know. Here's participants. Try share. Yeah, I think I lost. I was closing a window and I closed the wrong window. So take over. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, please. Hello?
Blake, are you there?
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
I
I
thought,
got it.
oh, he's got it. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not allowing me. So why don't you just move around on the charts? But anyway,
Yeah,
uh,
I'll navigate. You talk. I'm sorry, I was in the middle of cleaning up something outside of my office. So, how was your day off, Dale? How was your vacation day?
I found a place.
Oh, nice.
So it
Very
was
good.
good. Yeah. So a month to month, I'll be on the beach this summer. Not on it, mile away. But
That's close
any
enough.
yeah, anyway, be able to avoid this heat. I can't, it's harder and harder for me to take this heat.
Uh,
Anyway, I don't know
yeah.
what I did to the screen. I shut it down. But I want to ask the community, why don't you go to USDCAD, Blake?
Yep. Let's do it.
Um, this was my best call trade of the week, and I was buying it when it was a breakdown under you know, 36, 35.80 or so. It's actually a reversal week. Although the dollar has an inside week, Canada has a reversal week to the upside. Um, who caught it here in the room? Who was long Canada this week? Because we talked about it a couple days. Grega was in, showed his work. Anyone out there catch a piece of it? Tom, we talk in 30 minutes, 27 minutes. Okay. Tommy Thornton will be with us. Okay, so can you pull up the S&P chart? Because
You
yesterday
bet.
we not last night we knocked on the door again on that 59.20 level. Look at that. So you have kind of a descending triangle if you draw a downtrend line, but you have one, two, three hits there. So the first hit took it to 60.80. Second hit took it to what? I don't know, 64. No, I'm talking to the right. Yeah, the 59.20 line. So this was like the third test.
Yep.
So it's like kind of kicking on the cellar door, and we'll see what kind of rally it could generate from here. But each rally should be weaker within, I think there's destiny takeout
You know, it's it,
59.20.
it's it's interesting, Dale. My on my week ahead notes because I was getting them prepared last night for the video that I'll film later this morning here in a couple hours. I was
Yeah.
like short S&P below 59.20. I mean, and that was, we were over here and we've held it really well. So the good news is everybody knows the breakdown point now. I mean, if we break 59.20, we should see 59, or 57.50 pretty quickly,
Right.
I think.
Yeah.
Like a nice little trap door there if it happens. I don't know how
Yeah.
it's going to happen with everything that's going on.
Yeah, so the rebound was a 2 week period to think about um, striking Iran, the U.S. But I was talking to a buddy of mine. I said, all their allies are nuclear powers, right? Russia, China, North Korea. And then someone texted me a picture showing Xi uh, sending missiles to Iran.
Was
So,
that AI generated?
it could have, who knows?
Yeah,
This
that's
guy's a
the
pretty good source. Could be.
yeah, it could be. I mean,
So
that's
we'll
the thing
never
about
know
it.
anymore, will we?
No, it's hard to know.
We're never gonna know
It's well, we
anymore.
will. There's a lot of AI that are like that's AI generated or whatever. I don't know. It's tougher to disseminate what is real and what isn't. So,
Yeah. Anyway, the just because we think we'll solve the problem if we stop their program, but it's possible they're adversarial that they
yeah.
could give Iran a nuke.
Well, you
Anyway,
did see the headline just a few minutes ago, right? Here, I'll
what
just
were
take
they?
the chat room here. The headline, I think Michael Brown put it out just a second ago. Here we go. And then I put it out, but I put it out after the fact. Shoot, hold
I
on.
saw a
I
senior.
went a little too far. Hold on one second. It is
There.
uh, senior Iranian official to Reuters. Iran is ready to
Uh,
discuss limitations on its uranium enrichment. And yeah, Michael put it up there. Reuters had just done that just a second ago. Um, so that's why there's the jump in the futures this morning. And so, what do you think about that, Dale? I mean, that was just literally uh, less than 20 minutes ago. So.
I think that Israel's not going to stop regardless of whether there's a deal or not. The only leverage is, I guess, military equipment, and I just can't see them stopping now and accepting, anything but dismantling of the program. So, it's I don't believe it, and even if it's done, I don't see Israel ending this war on those terms. So that's what I think.
Oh, okay. So that might be a little bit of a false hope this morning because look, futures are up pretty nicely. Crude's come off quite aggressively ever
Yeah,
since last night when US announced
two
we
weeks.
might we got 2 weeks within 2 weeks and this is just us being able to move our chess pieces where they needed to be. That's the whole
Yeah,
reason. If you
uh,
guys didn't figure that one out, that's all it is.
it takes a
That's
military mind to understand that. So,
Yeah.
anyway, so that's what's going on. I mean, the dollar had a decent week. I think it's enough to say that, you know, there could be continuation.
We're
There
still
could be
outside of
more
this broken
left.
channel.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
you know,
mean,
it. I still think there's probably plenty of shorts, and we could rally back to, you know, dare I say it, 101, 101.50. Um, and that speaks to something else going on. While our eyes are on Iran, who knows what's going to happen in the European theater? So, you could get blindsided because now we have two fronts. And I think China would like to see the U.S. get involved in a war with Iran because that opens up the door with the U.S. really being involved in two wars for China to make their move on
and
Taiwan.
they can't protect Taiwan, or we can protect Taiwan.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's all kinds of geo stuff that I don't think is going to settle down. I don't think we're going to go into any kind of big lull here. I think that, there's going to be a break when we take out 59.20, and it's at least a number you talked about, Blake, and I had like 61.8 back of this rally around the 53, 54 level. And then 55 was a real key area because that was the high of the day when Trump tweeted the delay of sanctions, and the market had to work for a while to get through 55. So there's actually some gaps around the 53, 54 area as well. So I'm still in the correction camp, not a crash camp. But if you don't like the short side, what you do now is get your shopping list together of what you'd like to buy if things got cheaper. So I think that's about it. I still am having a
I'm
hard
waiting for
time.
a 50% off sale on Netflix. I mean,
I
if
think there's $100. It looks like a failing rally to me, bro. It tried, still diverging. Um, I think it goes towards that orange moving average at least. And Google doesn't look great anymore either. And it had one of the weakest rallies. Yeah, beautiful. Got back to the, resistance, trend line break. I think this one's vulnerable. And we all know Apple is, really hasn't been able to do much on the upside. And also, I don't know if you have it, Uber on Wednesday was putting in a bad day with a strong tape. Um, See how it's sitting right there? That's after negating an overthrow. That looks like that has $70 in it. So
Uber's got to play a lot of catch up with Waymo and Robo Taxi with Tesla and Uber's you know a dying technology
yeah,
if they don't
you
get
know,
caught.
so this is what I did. If you go to the weekly on Uber, it wasn't any fundamental narrative that attracted me to this trade. It was, there you go. That was it. So it actually had a throw over that it had to negate. And so I think it's vulnerable. People bought this stock because it's a stock that wasn't affected by tariffs. Okay, so we'll see what it's made of. I actually think my long-term target is down there at your red moving average.
All right. All right.
Okay,
Well,
so that's it.
that's way down there, and I don't I can't tell you the last time I've used an Uber. I prefer to use Waymo or even Lyft just to avoid Uber costs that are now more expensive than taxis used to be. So,
Yeah.
what the
Hearing
hell?
that from a lot of people, and then I've had some people tell me it's not for them. So I'll just stick with the three drives to a top with an overthrow that that negated the overthrow. So that's my reason.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah,
Well, hey, we have the other guys here, and we
yeah,
should probably hear what they have to say about what's happening in this global political or global geopolitical nightmare that we all happen to be living in right now. So, Ryan, first and foremost, UK retail sales data. That was you guys are not spending a lot of money over there. What's happening with the UK retail sales?
Pretty much as expected. Why we didn't get a big move in the pound, because we've had the last 3-4 months of good numbers, and everyone was surprised about that. So this is the give back that we've all been waiting for the last few months. So yeah, no real shock to that.
Okay, not a real shocker. Well, what's been a real shocker to you overnight? What other than the news that we just got about 20 minutes ago that you can see it right here on on Live Squawk on Forex Analytics. They pushed that out just a few minutes ago. What else has gotten your attention this morning?
Well, we've got this meeting later on. We're all talking about the Iran stuff in the news, and as you've said. So we've got Macron. He's put together another little club of the UK, Germany, and some other EU bods. They're going to try and put some sort of proposal to Iran later on in the next hour and a half-ish, give or take, which could form the basis of something to then go to Trump and Israel for them to say whether it's the basis to get a deal done, put a halt to hostilities, get talking, or whatever. So if we get all positivity on this, we're probably going to see risk on into the weekend. But if it's all waiting for Trump and anything that drags us into the weekend is going to probably see the opposite, and we'll see people hedging, squaring up, and that sort of thing going on.
Now let's not forget, guys. There is a nice little gap here from Juneteenth now that is below the market. So any type of failure today, or failure over the weekend could lead us back there early next week. All right, so that's got your attention. What else has got your attention this morning?
Not a lot, really.
Okay, well, maybe the beach over in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, I didn't get down there yesterday in the end, so but it's on the cards for today. But no, markets wise, we've got a few levels holding at the moment. Dale did very well with his dollar CAD, Aussie dollar dipped to the 64, 40, 45 area, pretty much on the nut yesterday over the fix. That's my bottom level for that pair at the moment. So we remain in this tight range. We did get some new headlines that Aussie funds have been exiting out of US Treasuries, which may be the reason why we're seeing the Aussies so supported, or at least not moving very much if they're repatriating money back to Australia or even sending it elsewhere into the euro.
Yeah, there was
So
an
that's
M&A deal, a big M&A deal early this week. I have to go back and fish up the story that's been supportive ever since Monday of this week in the Aussie. So, maybe there's that. Yeah, I mean that's a tight freaking range in the Aussie dollar. I can tell you, me personally, I have an argument for both sides, and apparently the market does too, because that's what's keeping us contained
yeah.
in such a tight range. So
You
maybe,
know something's going to happen if 64.40 maybe down to 20 breaks, and if 65.50 breaks.
yeah. Well, yeah, there's a 64.50, 64 cents, and then obviously 65.60 is the big 618. It's funny because I do the bias chart every day with our clients. After this show, we go straight into the morning edge. I have written down 6560 literally with an asterisk, meaning it's a really important resistance level. I think I've written that number every day for the last 3 weeks, maybe. And I mean, and it's like I keep thinking we're gonna break, ever since back here. I keep thinking, oh, hey, we're gonna take it out. And man, the failure to take that out, when's gravity gonna take hold? Maybe K-Man knows. What do you think, Kay?
Gravity. Whoa,
Or
that's a
should we be looking for moonshoot? Maybe
that's a
not
good
gravity.
question. Actually, you were looking for the ADNOC trying to buy Santos LNG thing, the M&A. That's the one you were looking for.
Yes, there you go.
Um, I don't know about the Aussie. I think we're pretty stuck right now between that 64.5 and 65.5. Those are really going to be the levels. Yeah, on the Aussie, I don't have much of a view right now. I would still be overall a buyer on dips, but that's because my longer term bearish dollar bias hasn't changed yet. So that's rather what I'm thinking. But yeah, in the meantime, we're trading those Iranian headlines, and yeah, there's this meeting with Europe, but Israel is much more. Much more entangled with the US in all of this. So I don't know what the Europeans are going to be able to do. I'm actually. We were talking about the reactions in the room, but I'm not even sure that. Well, of course, if they come to some form of a decent proposal, risk may see a leg higher. But I'm pretty convinced that the Orange Hurricane and the Israelis are going to shoot any attempt for a deal done by EU that they are or the Europeans that they are going to try to shoot it down literally.
Okay, well then that sets up, in my opinion, if we don't see some positive headlines over the weekend, and let's just say things just kind of fall apart.
Mm.
This bid up that you're seeing in risk going into the weekend might be, it
In
might find some sellers.
in parts because not the start, it's been going on for longer, but the start of the move we are seeing now came from supposedly the Americans going to give 2 weeks of of reflection time. Perhaps it is also, we haven't had a confirmation about that unless I missed something. Perhaps it is also to give some time to the Europeans to come up with something. But if it's a 2 week reflection time, I'd rather think that it's the US saying to Israel, well, you got 2 weeks to sort out that shit, or we will be probably forced to come in. So it's all very much up in the air, and then we still have to be cautious with risk. But the fact that the US has said 2 weeks, it's probably going to be that risk is not going to fly away, but just end the week on a potentially small, more positive note. We are talking here about relatively small moves, guys. I mean, we are not talking about euro being up 5% or if risk is really shooting higher, new highs in the stock markets. I mean, we're talking about we've been talking about how long? A week about the S&P being around 6,000. We're still
Yeah.
there.
Well, I mean, yeah, even more than that. I mean, these are really, really tight ranges.
Yeah, we're
Uh,
still there. I mean, we sometimes we have to look at it a little bit on a broader scale instead of the retail traders on a day-to-day basis getting all excited about 15 points moved. I mean, this things are not decided by any means, and the moves are not big. I mean, that we don't see very big moves.
No, let's be honest. The only big move that we've seen is really this crude oil move. I mean, which has
And
obviously been,
metals
yeah,
lately, you know.
lately, yeah, but not, but you know, you're talking about like these headlines or anything. I mean, it's, you know,
Oh yeah.
it's really just been crude. You know, that's that's the big one. But yeah, you're great. It's a great point. You know what else is actually moving right now? And this is something that came in. You're the perfect person to talk to about this. These yen pairs are really threatening. I mean, you got the euro yen right in breakout, just about ready to, well, it is in breakout territory. We're at highs of the year of 2025. Sterling yen, the guppy, it's challenging channel resistance. You've got the Kiwi yen, which is not far from a neckline of an inverted head and shoulder pattern. I saw somebody else actually pointed out the same thing with the Aussie yen. So I'll just draw it out here. It's not something I've been really focused on, but you know probably should be. And then you got the Canadian yen threatening the 200 DMA. I mean this yen has been pretty damn weak. And then you got obviously the dollar yen, which is nearing triangle resistance. What do you make of the yen here and how it's acted just overall?
Yeah, we've been talking about it on the Flow Show as well. The issue now, okay, you've got risk on the one side, but then we have seen over the course of this year that yen is not always have been following risk at all. We could argue that it's higher oil putting pressure on the Japanese importers, but I for sure think that the main reasons are twofold. Is that the Bank of Japan hasn't raised rates, so they keep the interest rates in Japan still fairly low compared to their peers. So, and Ueda, even though on a higher or sticky CPI this morning, Ueda said that they will continue to hike rates. He still gave the market 1.5 months time until the next Bank of Japan meeting to not be long yen. Because if you're long yen, you can turn it, unless you're against Swiss franc, but that one is stuck in the mud as well. You're not going to get any money. You're actually going to pay money every day if you're long yen against the dollar, if you're long yen against the euro, or
Yeah.
that is
So
one thing.
as a fund, you definitely don't want to do that. But even as a retail trader, not
That's
long.
one thing. That's one
Yeah.
thing. And then you have the MOF who scaled back on their ultra long and long term bond issuances and actually done a bit more on the 20 years because they listened to the market participants. Um, and that has been putting some downward pressure on the long end of the JGB market. So that gives you another indication that they don't want to let the market derail at any point. And I think that's the reason is like, yeah, and then you add perhaps a bit of risk to it. over the past 24 or so hours. But it's been going on for a bit longer, this yen thing. I think it's more to do with calming the bond market and yeah, I mean, just not raising rates.
All right. Thanks for the update there. Now, hey guys, I'm gonna give you guys a trade setup for today. I'm actually gonna go into the Forex Analytics community, and I'm gonna actually give you one of the charts that I posted, and it's gonna be a trade setup for today for those of you guys that are interested. But before I do that, I want to mention this. If you guys haven't checked out, go to forexanalytics.com. There's right here. Right in the very middle, it says something big is coming. Click here to learn more. Make sure you input your name and your email address to be notified about our updates that we're going to be giving you over the next couple months about trading analytics. We are also going to be giving away a trader funding program for the month of June. So we're doing some sweepstakes. They're coming your way. So you'll be notified first. You're going to have some perks. You're going to have some early adopter perks that come along to trading analytics, and I can guarantee everybody listening in here, whether you are a current subscriber of Forex Analytics or you are looking to be one with trading analytics, you are going to be very, 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 very surprised, impressed, and happy in the next couple of months. So to be one of the first to be notified and to have earlier access, put your name, email, and you're going to you'll be on our newsletter that goes out once a week on that address. We don't share that list with anybody else. It's just for us and for you to be notified on up and coming stuff. Ryan, did you want to add anything to that?
No, because I don't want to give away any secrets.
Okay,
So,
but we will be giving away secrets along the way and about new features that we're going to be adding. That will be coming. We'll be slow dripping that out to you guys. So to be the first one to be notified and to be up to date on what we're doing, put in name, email address, and you're going to be automatically entered to win. And those of you that are already part of our mailing list, you're already included. So, but you can also double check if you go, and I know some people are going to put in a couple of emails, which I can't stop you from doing that. If you're going to, Dale, would you do that? Would you put in multiple email addresses so you can try to win sweepstakes?
No,
would you do that?
No, you could tell I still have an AOL address.
That's true. Well, Dale, the problem is you don't know how to set up another email address. See, that's the problem right now. Just kidding. All right, guys. So make sure you guys. That was a total dinosaur stab at Dale. Don't worry, I'm right behind you. Like jokes aside, though, I'm going to give you guys a trade setup here in a second, but we have Tommy Thornton coming. We have news coming out. So Ryan, what are you looking at today? And as I get it set up for the news, I will give you that trade setup, so don't go anywhere. And we're going to cover Canadian GDP. So Ryan, what are you looking at today?
What I'm looking to see if we get this rally in the Aussie. It may be a little nudge above 65. I'll take a little bit more profit off the table. We've got the Philly Fed manufacturing data out in a little bit as well coming up, and that Canadian bits and bobs PPI data. But really, it's going to be about all this risk stuff. And I don't know if Mr. Trump's awakened on the toilet yet with his phone, but we're going to have to deal with all that for the rest of the afternoon.
All right. K-Man, you have any thoughts for today, what you want to trade?
No, it's pretty much the same thing. We are at the mercy of any headlines, but yeah, I'm on the day. I wouldn't mind to be a dollar rally selling, provided that I get a dollar rally. That is, not in yen. In the yen, I'm rather trading the opposite side in euro, and I think it's still it may not be over yet.
Okay. All right. I'm still looking at that confluence up there. The data should be out in just a second. So, well, I'll give you guys my trade setup as soon as the data comes out. And Dale, I know you're going to be talking with Tommy Thornton here in a second. So I'm gonna I'll try to be quick.
Don't worry about
Philly
I
Fed,
can't find him.
You can't. He's here. He was talking to us earlier.
Well, he's not now, so I'm
Maybe
just
he
saying.
maybe he dipped out for
Yeah, it's
until his turn.
really hard to break in new guests. So anyway,
He says he's here. Thomas Thornton.
oh,
Really
Tom,
fed worse
okay.
than expected.
No wonder.
Canada retail sales, they're okay. Yeah, okay-ish. A little bit softer on the ex-autos. PPI, softer than expected. Yeah, not much about
Well,
that data.
but the Canadians getting a little bit of a lift here. Let me go to investing.com and see what they. It still hasn't popped up here. So you're seeing them over there?
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
Well, we had a couple sources that we weren't even seeing it. But let me give you guys an idea. What was the big, and I want to ask Ryan, what was the big central bank surprise this week? In your view, biggest one out of all the central banks in it?
I don't know about biggest surprise, but obviously the Norges cutting when everyone was expecting them to stay unchanged, which is just a bit of a reminder for all those central banks that still have rates above 4%. They do not want them there, and that includes the Fed, the Bank of England.
So
Um,
thank you very much. It's the what I was waiting for. I've posted a bunch of charts in our chat room, obviously, this morning. As soon as I get up, I just start, going through what did I see. The US dollar Norwegian krona intraday. We have a nice little cup and handle pattern. Cup and handle patterns are, reversal patterns, consolidation, extension patterns. So if we break above 1010, the extension should lead us to 1020. So for those of you that and don't and notice that the US dollar Norwegian krona has been bid all freaking day. That's when things become a surprise, and even though you could go and you can go to our research room if you want, and you can read from like here's yesterday. Where's I'll show you here in 1 second. You have like ING that's like, oh, wait a second, that really wasn't that much of a surprise. It wasn't maybe to their analysts, but it was to most analysts. So when the market has to reprice, the market has to reprice, then you have a situation where you have like today, the US dollar Norwegian krona has had a bid all day long as the market has to sell some krone and buy dollars. And a break above 1010, we're going to see 1020. And if you guys are a dollar bull, that just gives you an extra little bit of leverage. So there's your freebie for today. But remember, for more trade ideas like this, just be in the Forex Analytics community. We talk about shit like this all day long. And you can see how active of a community it is. This is this morning. That is when I got up this morning, right here. And that was an hour and a half ago. And you can see all the conversation on a very slow Friday, just in the general chat room. That's not in the S&P room. That's not in the trades room. That's not in the news room. That's not in the Flowonomics room when everybody's talking macro. So that's just in our general chat room. So anyway, I'll see you guys there. Have a great weekend. I'll be filming the week ahead video. And I want to say thank you, Ryan and K-Man, for wonderful flow shows all week long. Dale, I'm glad you're going to be by the beach this summer because it's freaking hot out there. Have a great interview with Mr. Thornton, and I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right. Thanks, Ryan, Kay, Blake.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you,
Thanks,
team.
George.
Have a great weekend, team. All right, Tommy, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. I'm good. Can you hear me okay?
I could hear you, Thomas Thornton, hedge fund telemetry, and I get Tommy's emails, and he's really, has great coverage on a lot of different instruments, a lot of different parts of the market. Sometimes we're in the same positions, and so what they say, great minds think alike. I'm still short Uber. What are you doing, Thomas, with Uber right here?
I covered Uber recently. I didn't. I
Yeah,
was short a little higher
yeah.
after earnings, and it faded, I think, on some of the Tesla robo-taxi news,
That
and
was it.
I
Yeah.
I covered it. I don't see the. I mean, I'm short Tesla. I don't see the robo-taxi launch going that well for Tesla, partly
Okay.
because it doesn't work.
Do you want to share your screen,
Yeah,
Tommy?
let me see which screen we're gonna go. I'm just jamming with a bunch of stuff, so it might be a little
There's a lot of DeMark cells out there right now, aren't there?
yeah, we're gonna go. I can go into that, and pardon me, it's gonna be up in that up there. So if I'm looking up there, you just say, "What are you looking at?" So,
Okay.
if you see that screen, let me just go into a couple things real quick. So I use DeMark indicators, and this is I'll blast this bigger. This is can you see that
Yeah.
okay? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Uh,
could see it.
Okay, good. So this is the, it should be bigger. So hold on, let me see if I can just make it bigger. Do it a little differently. Um, Let me close this guy. I overlay all this crazy stuff. And
It's your, everyone designs their own spaceship.
yeah,
That's a big shot of it right here.
yeah. So this is actually the Russell 3000, and the Russell 3000 is sort of the meat of the U.S. market. Just everything in there, and if just going back a little, back in February, we were positioned short, and when we moved down to these low levels here, we had DeMark 13 buy signals that were happening. If you add in, sort of a basic chart here. I wish it could be larger. This is kind of like the most basic thing that I look at with internals, and this is stocks above the S&P stocks above the 200-day, 50-day, and 20-day, and I focus more short term on the 50 and 20-day. And as you see, it got down to these oversold levels here on
Right.
the 50-day and 20-day. Those are pretty good buy signals. What we are seeing are some divergences, so lower highs
Yeah.
on the 20-day and 50-day. That's one thing. So the other, let me pop it up here. It'll just take a brief second. And I will say I think Blake does fantastic work. I mean, the breadth of his work is just extensive, and big fan. I'm not a, straight out currency trader, but I track currencies, commodities, just about everything. So this is kind of the one that I'm watching right now. This is the Mag 7. You had a perfect DeMark 13 here at the lows, and we were set up very short, and then we turned bullish and went long, and partly because of not just the DeMark indicators, but we looked at all the internals in the market,
Yeah. The
and it kind of
breadth
gave us
thrust.
the
Yeah.
signals. And now here we have the pink ones are combos. Sometimes there's two of them or three because I have several versions. Tom DeMark looks at several versions. There's a sequential here too. So we've got these signals, and they're exhaustion signals, so it's not like 1987 is going to happen the day after these signals happen, but it exhausts the buyers. So the buyers, in my opinion, in the last month are getting tired here. So that is something I'm watching. If I go to the S&P, and I'm going to pop that guy up here real quick. I have
In your work, I've been noticing just with my eye. Are you seeing any negative technical developments in Google? It was
I'll
kind of
pop
one
that
of
up in
the.
a sec, but
All right.
let me just show you
All
the
right.
S&P. So this,
Got it.
again, we had these 13s up here. This is the strict version. Tom DeMark looks at the strict version. And one thing that we're watching here, I can crunch it a bit. We had the 13s. It's sort of, trickling sideways.
Sideways. Yeah.
These red lines are what we call reference close, and it's basically a close off the 4-day low, and we want to see
Fifth.
those break. And
Right.
Tom DeMark was talking yesterday. This line here, this green dotted line, is 58.43 on this cash S&P. It's fairly shallow. And that's one thing he was saying. If we break below this line here, then we probably have some downside. And this line is calculated off the low of this green nine setup. So once a nine gets completed, and I'm not going to go too far into the DeMark indicators, but this setup nines are the first part of the trending. And you basically need to have 9 consecutive closes higher than the close of 4 bars back. And if that doesn't happen, it breaks the green bar or the green line numbers go away. But it did happen, so we have this here. And so this is really 58.43 is the level that we're watching. And we can just go through a lot of different things that we're watching. And it's really interesting because like here's one that I follow a lot, and this is the 5-day moving average of the equity put call ratio. This is another internal that kind of got us like this is at the lows here, and it spiked up and you had more put buying, and it's a 5-day moving average, and we had such a short-lived pullback with the Liberation Day fiasco in the market that it didn't get that high. And usually when you get above these levels here, when they spike, you really do have some good buying opportunities. And then it went straight down with extensive call buying, and now it's been lifting. And again, I don't know if you guys mentioned it, but we have an expiration today. It's $6 trillion, which is one of the largest expirations on record. So the market has been in this sideways chop for the last month, and that could open up either upside or downside. My view is that we're probably going to see downside, and I don't know exactly the catalyst. Obviously, people have their opinions on if there's a war, if it there, that. I mean, I think war is not good for markets. Some people think it's a positive because it always gets resolved quickly, or that's
Well, a lot of it's going to depend on the behavior of the crude market, right?
yeah,
So
and
we've rallied up to resistance, and so far just holding.
yeah, the
But if
the
it breaks
interesting
out
thing,
above, go ahead.
yeah, the interesting thing with crude, and I'm pulling it up here, and it just since I have like 5 charts that link, it takes a little time. The interesting thing with crude is it's kind of hard to see. Well, it just backed off here. So we did have day 4 of 13 on the sequential. And I had been watching, and you might have seen it, this level 64.85. This little green line right here. And I know it doesn't look that important, but that was an important level that we said if it breaks above that, then we could see some upside. I've been overweight energy stocks, and that's been sort of the trade of
Of the
late. And
yeah,
I'm also long, and I've trimmed back the
uranium.
yeah do you know that uranium, the URA, is the best performing uh, stock or ETF on my board in all the ETFs. It actually beat gold. Gold is up 28% this year, and uranium is up 41%. And we started buying it a little premature in these levels here, and we added to it down here, and we had perfect 13s down here, and then a higher low one here. But we trimmed some here, and the trend has been very, very strong. And sometimes the interesting thing with the market indicators is when they don't
Work.
see a
Yeah.
market reaction, it's really telling you that the trend is a lot stronger. So we're still long because I like the theme of uranium, and it's been very good. The RSI, I use a 9-day RSI. It shows a little bit more bubble on the upside and downside. I like that. But that's kind of what I'm watching. I have another one that I put on my note today, or no, it's going on something else. This is this is kind of an interesting way of looking at the world as well. This is the black line is the percentage of the S or the sorry, the spiders above or below the 50-day moving average. And we got down to 13.5% below the 50-day moving average. That was a pretty deep level, and I can go back in history and see it. And when I get these red bubbles here, that's usually a sell, and the white or a buy. It's a moving average in here as well that I've programmed, God knows how long. But this just shows the 13s and the 9s that tend to work pretty well. Give you some exhaustion, sometimes larger pullbacks than others. Sometimes they don't work people expect these giant pullbacks, but a lot of times it's just exhaustion, 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 exhaustion. Down here we had, buy signals, and now we have sell signals up here. And it's kind of hard to see, but the bubble's starting to turn a little red. So this moving average is starting to dip again. And
Where does that blue moving average underneath it come in?
this,
That
I
one.
think that's the 50-day. I think it's the
Yeah.
50. I used the 50-day on that. Yeah,
Where's that
that's the
coming in?
50-day.
5,700 or so?
570
55?
on SPY.
Okay.
And so that's what I'm watching. I think a pullback is due, and I think that's where we should see things go. Now, you're talking dollar, and the dollar has been sort of a interesting one. I actually wanted to highlight a few currencies that I'm watching
Okay.
as it comes up here. So the dollar had exhaustion signals up here. We had some exhaustion here, here. We do see price reversals, and we did move up here. And this red line is the 50-day, and the green line is the 20-day. And those are my two main moving averages that I tend to focus on. I figure if you get above the 200 or the 20-day moving average, you do have some upside. It failed. A new sequential here, and then another one started. And the reason another one started is because you had another 9, and after the 9, then you can have a new countdown in the red. So I know it's a little bit. It took me 20 years to figure out DeMark indicators, but I'm watching them. What I'm watching here, and I think you mentioned it. 101.25 is this red dotted line, and this is the TDST, the setup trend, and that is from the start of this 9, the true high. And again, like I said on the S&P, that support level is the green dotted line. This is the red line. Those work as resistance levels. So if we break above 101.25, I think you have some daylight, and you'd be above the 20-day and the 50-day, and I'm not quite sure that's going to happen. I'm more or less thinking the dollar is going to go sideways. There is the potential here, and this is DeMark they don't always have these exhaustion signals. Sometimes they have more of an offensive signal, and it's this
Where's that?
here.
A shade under 96, that horizontal
This
line?
This is 95.84, and this is called a propulsion. So that is like a potential offensive target if we do move lower. This one here goes to here, and that's 99.98. So it's getting a little sideways and a little esoteric, and we'll see, where that goes. Now, I want to show you the yen because you talked about the yen. We both had been bullish on the yen for a bit, and I think that it's sort of confounding to me. And I'm going to pull it back here because we had this long period of crunching of weak yen up here. This dollar yen, and here come. Okay, so we had this big move. We had 13s that saw pullbacks here. I mean, this was like, I think, interventions and the chaos that they did, and we saw those dollar rallied on here, and then it finally gave way. That was last summer. That was a good fun Sunday to remember. Sunday night watching that. But now we have a buy count down 13 or for dollar yen. So the yen could start to weaken again. And I'm not quite, convinced of that, but I'm watching that. And that's something I'm watching. If we go to look at spot euro here, let's just pull it up. Come on. There we go. Takes a little bit.
Yeah.
Crunching the marks. Come on. Okay, so this is a good example of you get this exhaustion here and you're gonna go sideways. And it stopped the trend and then it carried on a little bit further. 13's here, pulled back. You had a 13 up here. You pulled back to the 50-day, and now you're on day 11, pending on day 11 of 13. So I would not be shocked to see it kind of go sideways and then get a 13, and then we could see the euro start to fade. What else was on my
What would
Bitcoin?
be downside targets if it started to fade? Those
You know what?
horizontal lines underneath?
I'd probably say that just below 110. That's kind of my
That's
view.
in. Yeah,
If
interesting.
we get there,
Okay.
that's it's a big move. And this line here, it's kind of I'm going to lose it, but it's sort of the momentum is sort of this is a momentum indicator. It's sort of not that great. Not giving us the best thing. So here's Bitcoin. Oh, sorry. Bitcoin actually, I should trade this. I don't really understand Bitcoin, and I've had a lot of people say, "Well, you should trade it." The signals gave good sell signals here, pulled back another nine, sort of a minor signal. Pulled back. You had a 13 here, a little overthrow, and then now you have 13s, and it stalled basically the advance up here. And it just hasn't been able to move down. I'd say the big round number support is 100,000, which I guess people will be watching for that. We did gas, we did crude. Okay, here's one too that just sort of I started talking about
So
it.
is this the conclusion that this is bearish or bullish Bitcoin
Yeah,
here?
it's sort of it's not it's just sideways.
Okay.
Bitcoin can kind of go sideways for a bit, and then
Yeah.
you're kind of wondering, what do we do? I'd probably just say there's nothing to do right now in Bitcoin until something breaks, and I don't think it's quite breaking yet. So
I
this
s-
is natural gas.
well,
I'm gonna scooch it over here. Great sell signals up here, and I watched it kind of trickle sideways. A new buy 13 here that I mentioned last week, and it did reverse. When you get a 13, the rule of thumb is you should see a price reversal within the next 10 to 12 days. And if you don't get that reversal in that period of time, that tells you that you could have um, a continuation of the trend, and that's when the signal fails. And when the signal fails, it's telling you something really, valuable of that. I mean, if to me, I will throw in the internals and all the other
so
stuff that I look at.
when you have a 13, you have to give it 10 days on the right side of it because we're at 13, right? For it to work.
Yeah,
Let me finish. So does
okay.
that mean that at that time you kind of have a time stop, but you have what do you do to manage risk waiting 10 days to see if a signal works or not?
Well, you can also, I mean, I would use a price, look, it's a formulaic rule of thumb that Tom DeMark said that if you have this signal, you should see it within 10 to 12 days. I use a price stop as well. If it's not working, I can always enter the trade back in if I need to.
Right.
But that's generally how I see it. This natural gas, reversed fairly quickly,
Yeah.
and that was um,
You
that's when it
use
works.
hard stops, Tommy? They're in the
I
market.
do. I generally put I usually in for equity positions I start with a 5% stop. In volatile markets I've allowed some to go a little further, and I keep my sizing down. So if my sizing
Okay.
I I don't size over 5% ever. And usually if I'm trading something, I'll trade it, in a volatile market, I'll have a 2% weighted position on an equity position, and I can go up to 5%. And even with that, as much as people say, well, how do you really kill it in the market? It's sort of like blackjack. I played blackjack a lot when I was younger, and I always managed my position risk by never betting more than a certain amount until I got to a certain level. And my equity close rate this year is around 75% wins, which has been
That's nice.
really, yeah, it's good. It's usually a little lower than that. So I anticipate, uh, I anticipate losses, that it doesn't really bother me because that's sort of the, the nature of it. And in this day and age, most people think that everything works. It doesn't. But if you can win more in blackjack than you lose, you end up making money. And the same thing with trading. And that to me is important. What else I wanted to just we track market
So
sentiment as well. And
so
I'm
so what
popping.
what hand do you see in the market that you would split as a blackjack trader?
Uh, that's a tough one because generally well, I mean, in blackjack, I'm splitting tens all day, but I don't I
Right.
and I'm up my portfolio is up really well, doing well this year. So I can take a bit more risk, and that I'm a lot more on offense. I mean, the S&P is up 2%. I'm up 20%, and I've had a couple positions really do well. I caught China well this year, took profits on the long side. Uranium, I've scaled out of the majority of my positions, but still have some. Those were great. A couple individual names have done really well. This is what we track on our site. We use the daily sentiment index data
Yeah.
from Jake Bernstein, who basically has since 1987 polled. I say he polls traders and asks, "Are you bullish or bearish?" And it's a
That's a
daily sentiment read.
D, right?
And this
DSI.
this is this has been very good too. Now, this is back in April, we got to 10% bulls, and that was the most oversold we got in the last 2 years. And partly the last 2 years have been a little frustrating for me because I buy pullbacks, and it's been one of those chase markets where you just have to buy higher and hope the next guy's buying higher after you. But what I'm seeing right now, and this is the sentiment here, this is the price of the S&P. I use a 20-day moving average to smooth uh, the sentiment, and we are currently at 68%. And when you get up to the 80s, it can stay there. And sentiment, a lot of people um, typically misinterpret sentiment. They think that a level is, it's a sell signal. It's more of a condition. So we've moved into sort of a bullish condition here, but it's hard to see. But we're below the 20-day moving average of sentiment. We did that here on this pullback. Didn't really break the 20-day on the S&P, and I kind of like to see that. I mean, if you just traded the market and used the S&P and you looked at a 20-day moving average, you most likely could make money by doing that, by just following that trend. So we're starting to top out here, and we've gone sideways for a month, and something's got to give here. And I think that the next 5 to 10% move down, or the move is down, not up. And of course, there could be some miraculous headline or tweet that comes out that says everything is wonderful and we've got trade deals and all this other stuff. But I still think that the economy is slowing a bit, and that will probably translate into higher unemployment. And that is something the Fed is more concerned about than inflation. As much as they talked about inflation, or Powell talked about inflation the other day, I think the unemployment is going to be the trigger that the Fed will cut rates. And when the Fed starts cutting rates, we'll get a snapback in the equity market because the majority of people think that a Fed cutting cycle is bullish, and it's not necessarily bullish because they could be seeing things
Yeah,
that trend for quite a while.
like credit
And
issues.
yeah, I mean, you name it.
Yeah,
But here's one
that's nat gas. So do you have a view on rates then with what you're
I do.
thinking? Are the bonds a buy? TLT?
No, I don't think bonds are a buy. I
Okay.
don't.
I don't either.
The thing that is, if the Fed cut rates, I think the long end of the Treasury market would
Yields
freak
go up.
out and
Yeah,
do
yeah.
something. Hold on, I want to show this because this is kind of cool. This is the unemployment rate. I'm going to go back 30 years here. Then I'll blow it back up. Markets are trying to rally here. I see. This is my morning stuff. Okay, come on. Takes a little time. Okay, so this is, the DeMark indicators are pretty cool in the sense that I track it on a lot of different things, and
What's
this
that?
is the
VIX?
unemployment rate.
Oh,
And
unemployment.
I'll just go back to this is 1982.
Yeah.
This is a monthly chart, and you've seen like 13s hit here, here, and here in the middle of a move down in unemployment. And usually when you get 13s, that's just saying the trend is very strong and it kept going. But usually when you get 13s down towards the low end, let's say under 5%, and these were above 5%, this and here. When you get it down here, you typically see a change in trend after these 13s. Throw out COVID because that was sort
Right.
of, we were
Right.
probably going to see a higher unemployment if ex-COVID, if COVID didn't hit. But still, that's something I'm watching. Let me go for rates. Hold on, let me move this guy down. Go
So this
back.
is saying we're starting to turn up on that
Yeah, I think unemployment's
unemployment
going to
rate.
go higher. I do.
Okay.
And let me get I'll pull up, I'll start with the twos. But I do think unemployment's going to trend higher. Fed Governor Waller said that, he thought unemployment's going to start to show some signs in July. I think that's very possible. So here's the twos here. Let's make it bigger. Where are we? Okay, backing up. So we had exhaustion signals up here, and this was up, 430 on the twos, a little bit of residual momentum. When we moved down here, we had, buy signals. This was a bad one. The combo was better, but currently we still have upside countdowns up, still here. So twos aren't going down that much. And if the Fed was going to cut, I think you'd see the twos rally and rates go down. I'll
The
do the
twos,
10
I tell you
here.
what, that if you overlaid a WTI chart on top of that, you had the crash low, and then you had a higher low in crude, and then it moved sideways before the
Hmm.
breakout. It's almost the
Yeah,
same formation, isn't it?
yeah.
And
I
so it looks higher. That was before crude broke out. It looks just like WTI. I just
yeah.
was
So this
strange
is
to me.
10-year. I'm gonna go back because, well, some bird sounded like it was coming in my house here. I moved my office to the house, which I
Nice.
couldn't be happier about.
Yeah.
Um, a
So,
loud bird. But
Tommy, go ahead.
this is crazy here. This is when the Fed cut rates last. They did their
Yeah.
50 basis point, and
Right.
look what the Treasury market did.
Yeah.
I- I've never seen the
Bond
Fed cut rates.
vigilantes. No,
Yeah, the
it
bond
was a first
vigilantes
for
came
me.
in,
Yeah.
and that moved things higher. The 13s kind of capped it. We pulled back, new 13s up here, and then we've been sort of this was
Sideways.
January 479. But here we still have a countdown on the upside here, and they're going sideways. And I think we could go higher. And
Yeah, I do too.
one of the things is I look at it from a wave point of view, and if we go and look at this is the first wave, this little one here, it's hard to see, backed off higher low two, and then if we get above this high, this January closing high, we could get up to this level here, this wave three. I spelled that wrong. Target
550.
of 551, and the 30s kind of cap things as well. And rates, rates are a bit higher today. Um,
Yeah,
and I still think rates are the biggest risk in the markets, X any sort of geopolitical or tariff news, whatever happens with that. So the 13s worked pretty well here, up here,
yeah.
here. But we really haven't seen the bonds
No.
rally that much. And I have bond
And we had
sentiment.
benign numbers last week. They had their chance. So
Yeah.
as you can tell, Tommy is across the board looking at everything. He uses a lot of DeMarc stuff and has his own proprietary stuff. So if people wanted to work with you, Tommy, get in touch with you. You could show your website or your contact information. On X,
Yeah,
it's at Tommy Thornton. That's an easy one to remember.
well,
But
I locked my X account because of
oh,
all the
crap.
chaotic spammers
Yeah,
that have infiltrated the whole
yeah.
platform. And but if anyone would like, I can give someone a free trial. If you email info@hedgefundtelemetry. Uh, and I'd be more than happy to do that. We're in the process of building a brand new site, so my current site kind of sucks right now. I'm kind of down on it, but the new one is gonna be fantastic, and that's for this summer. So we're pretty excited about that, and and it's been great. We have a great subscriber base. We do more than just the mark indicators. I think the sentiment stuff is really valuable. You can buy certain things at places in the market that you can feel a little bit better about buying some stuff as they get really beat up. And one thing, let me just, we talked about the dollar. The dollar sentiment has been
Yeah.
pretty oversold down here. It hasn't really been able to move above the 20-day moving average of
Mhm.
sentiment. And when that does, and that starts to turn up, as it did here, and this is when rates were starting to move higher as well, then you can see the dollar start to work. And I have it for just about everything. Oh, one other thing that I'm short silver.
Oh,
And
you are. Yeah.
this since silver's been in a pretty bullish pattern here, and I have gold too, but gold has been a lot. Gold has been the most resilient commodity of any in the last several years, and I think there's obvious reasons why. And the DeMarc indicators for gold have seen pullbacks, but really, nothing in the more than 5 to 7% pullbacks. And silver sentiment is a bit high. And I think I have silver here. This is XAG. This is silver versus USD. And the futures, silver futures had similar exhaustion signals up here, and it's pulled back a bit today. So I am short silver, not in
Okay,
big
Tommy.
big size, but just for a pullback. And I think to the 50-day is real possible. It's possible to see that. That's kind of where I'm at on that.
Okay. Well, thank you. We have to wrap it.
Oh, okay. Have I
I
seen
mean,
you?
no, I have somewhere else to be, and I really appreciate your openness and boy, Tommy, you shared all your trades. A lot of actionable stuff that you brought to the table. I'm a fan.
Well,
So,
thank you.
Check out Tommy Thornton, and he offered a free trial. Go to
Yep.
info@hedgefundtelemetry.com
Sounds
and
good.
tell
Thanks for having
Tommy
me.
tell Tommy you saw him on Face. Okay,
Sounds good.
and that's a wrap, Tommy. Have a great weekend, my trading warrior brother. I really like your stuff. You gave me some
Thank
ideas
you.
here. All right. That's a wrap. Don't just count your DeMark 13s or 9s. Count your blessings. All right. And have a great weekend, everyone. And we'll see you next week and lay it on the table again. Lay it all out on the court like Indiana did last night. Okay. Adios. Thanks again, Tom Thornton. It was a great interview, Tommy.
Take
Good
care.
hunting. Good hunting. Adios, guys. You're welcome, everyone.